For a more in-depth look at the runoff elections, we're joined tonight by our political analyst and publisher of the Quorum Report, Harvey Kronberg. Harvey, happy election season, finally.
We're here at last.
We are here.
For this episode, anyway.
For this episode. The new TSU poll puts both Cornyn and Paxton in statistical and literal ties, respectively, with James Tallarico, the Democrat, in that race. Are you buying that this is going to be a competitive race? And why is this year going to be different from all the other years where Democrats get their hopes up?
The last two times the Democrats got their hope up were with Beto O'Rourke and Colin Allred, and in both cases the candidates failed at the last minute to close the deal. Why I think this might be different is that Tallarico has actually been in combat in the Texas House for the last 4 or 5 sessions. He's not yet made any major mistakes, and this is ultimately going to be a referendum on President Trump. It's not so much whether or not Republicans come home, which some of that poll does suggest. It's whether or not independents are going to break for Trump or for Tallarico, for the Republican candidate or Tallarico. And at the moment, it looks like the number of independents are increasing and that they are breaking hard against the incumbent president.
Well, but one thing that the TSU poll showed is that when you talk to Republican voters, 90% of Cornyn voters say they would vote for Paxton over Tallarico, and 91% of Paxton voters said they'd vote for Cornyn over Tallarico. So they would be staying home with the party. 6% undecided in both. Harvey, there's been so much conversation about I'm the better candidate for a general election. Does that put any credence there, or is there going to be party unity? Is that what this shows?
Normally, well, it does appear that there's going to be party unity, and normally Republicans do come home. I mean, that's always been their great strength, and particularly rural Republicans will show up when they're most needed. But it seems to me that this time is a little bit different. Again, I'm going to go back to the independent vote. The percentage of independent voters seems to be increasing, and they're 90% opposed to the incumbent president. That gives some wind in the sails to the Tallarico campaign. In addition to which, this is being a much more professionally run campaign than either O'Rourke or Allred in the last 2 iterations.
Let me jump down the ballot to the Railroad Commission, because that is not an election that gets a lot of excitement most years. But this year it has. Beau French, former Tarrant County GOP chairman, and Jim Wright, the incumbent in that race, are matching up. What's going on in that race? Why is it getting so much attention, and who's got the backing of the biggest state officials?
Well, Beau French is, shall we say, a curious character. For instance, when he was a Republican county chair in Tarrant County, he ran a poll that said, who's more dangerous to the country, Muslims or Jews? He's been running essentially.
He was denounced by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick for that tweet.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, Dan Patrick called on him to resign as Tarrant County chair. Oil and gas is terrified that essentially this clown could be one of the regulators of this consequential industry.
What about Jim Wright? What's going on with him? He is the incumbent, and he's focused a lot more on oil and gas issues.
He's a regulator, actually, and kind of a regular bureaucrat, regular administrator. But he doesn't have much charisma per se. And now I will say that Dan Patrick loaned Alan Blakemore, his political consultant, to go beef up the Jim Wright campaign. But in the world of MAGA right now, the Whisper campaign and all of the social media seems to be supporting French. And I haven't seen any reliable numbers one way or the other.
And we've got about a minute left here, Harvey. But Jim Wright appears to have the backing of the lieutenant governor, the governor. So he's got all the big establishment ones. Ken Paxton, I think, is campaigning with Beau French. So this is a little bit of like both sides of the Republican Party having it out, kind of a proxy fight there.
Exactly. And the fact that Paxton is making appearances with French gives him legitimacy to that particular crowd. And you just talk to I call them civilians, people that are not in the combat zone like you and I are, the political combat zone. And Beau French's name ID is way higher than Jim Wright's. So, I mean, that's anecdotal, but that's best we got right now.
All right. It'll be interesting to see what happens in a couple of weeks. Harvey Kronberg, thanks for joining the program.
Always a pleasure.